Hey, jobs in Canada. Jobs in Canada took a really bad turn last month, and I think it's just part of an ongoing trend. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it is. We saw the unemployment rate pop to 6.4, and we actually had negative job creation in Canada. There was fewer jobs in Canada than there was the month before. This will, in all likelihood, continue. Talked about it a lot before, but let's just emphasize the cooling of the Canadian economy. An economy in decline creates unemployment. It's as simple as that. There's no question about it. It's not open to discussion. That's how it works. So, what are the outcomes? What can we think about for the future? The future is, in all likelihood, decidedly worse. There's an excellent possibility, well, no certainties, nothing's for certain, but an excellent possibility that the unemployment rate could hit 8%. Is that a bad thing? Hell yes, that's a bad thing. Absolutely bad. Now, I know some people are going to jump on the comments online and says, well, if the unemployment gets bad, house prices come down. Okay, but look, let's really have some compassion for people. Unemployment, losing your job, not being able to find a job is a really difficult circumstance. It's very hard. It's one of the hardest things that can happen to humans. So let's have some compassion for it, please. Let's break this whole thing down. How did it happen? The real truth is that the only job creation, the significant, dynamic, powerful job creation in Canada for the last, 5 years has been government. Yeah, okay, sure. So all jobs were shut down during COVID. We understand. But I'm thinking for the last 6 years, if we analyze the growth, whether it's private sector, public sector, all types, the strong player has been government. Government at all levels, government in cities, towns, provinces, federal government. They have been the strong creator of jobs for the last 6-7 years. So that means that other sectors are lagging. Let's break that down. Start with finance. So finance, banking, insurance, and you could to a certain extent that's mortgage brokers. It's probably you can't say realtors, but they're in the mix. Steady layoffs, steady hiring freezes, steady reduction in employee count. That's been the hallmark of the last 18 months. Manufacturing. Folks, apart from all this talk about electric vehicle battery plants, there's been no particular growth in the Canadian manufacturing sector for 10 straight years. It is not any kind of a growth sector in Canada. Hasn't been for a long time. Retail sales. Large ticket items in retail. Retail sales there's a lot of jobs in retail. Retail sales have been garbage for big ticket for the last 12 months. We talk about TVs, fridges, stoves, even bigger tickets like motor vehicles. Motor vehicle sales have fallen off a cliff in the last 3 months in Canada. All right. Transportation, big sector. Worst year for trucking in Canada in maybe 15 years. There's been big companies go into receivership. There's been a dramatic reduction in truck transport. There's been a dramatic reduction in all types of transport. So now, what is possibly the most worrisome sector? Construction. Construction has been really the only shining light in Canada for the last 5 years. Set aside COVID. By the way, construction kept going in COVID. So yeah, big sector. Look, construction has been in a devastated state in Ontario for the last 12 months. The new construction starts are literally falling off a cliff. Even development of, commercial buildings like warehouses has ground to a halt. It's bad. Everybody says, oh, but look at all the cranes. Okay, the cranes are stuff that started 2, 3, 4 years ago. And once they finish, there are no new cranes. None. Okay? So, bad situation amongst the trades and in construction in Ontario. Going to get absolutely going to soften in British Columbia. Still, apparently, I'm hearing rumors it's softening a bit in Alberta, but that is going to be a highly affected sector. And those are good paying jobs. Those are not part-time jobs. God bless Tim Hortons, but those are not part-time job at Timmy's. Okay, construction jobs are good-paying jobs, and they are in decline, fast decline, depending on the region. So what's all this been this story about Canada's economy is healthy for the last year and a bit, 2 years, whatever? Immigration. Like, if you bring in 3 million people in 30 months, there's going to be a lot of economic activity. They got to be fed. They got to be housed. They got to move around. They got to, they create their own economic activity. Now immigration is going to dramatically slow as international students have been cut massively. I mean, that is just a sector that is once as high as 800,000 in a year. That's just going to drop dramatically. So once we take immigration out of our economic growth, Canada on a per capita basis, GDP has been horrible. And finally, the jobs reports have caught up to this disaster. So hate to be doom and gloom, hate to be the bearer of bad news, even though people say, you seem to like it, Ron, you do it a lot. But this thing is not escapable. We will see higher unemployment. And finally, in the end, particularly if there's a change of government, we'll see less employees in government. So Canada, it's not looking great for employment for the next 12 to 18 months.